The cameras are going, man. Okay, as long as that's good, then we'll just get on with this shit because I have stuff I gotta do. I can't fucking do this shit for hours and hours. And it's hot in here too. We turn off the goddamn fan, so it's fucking getting hot in here. So let's get this thing on the let's get this show on the goddamn room, man. I want to get this shit over with. All right, let's do it. Hey, what's up going on? Hey, what's up going on? Hey, what's up, you fucking belly button snippers? My name's SICKJAY, and you're, you know, we're gonna do a quick little history lesson or some shit. You know, it's gonna be like a Killin Time with SICKJAY, but it's basically like a quick little history lesson or some shit. You know, so if you don't know, and if you do know, and if you do know, let other people who don't know. So today, August 10th. I'm sorry, August 10th. Is you know, around here in the Southwest and shit, is known as Pueblo Revolt Day. And what Pueblo Revolt Day is the time of the season when motherfuckers get crazy and they just start fucking pillaging and plundering all the fucking churches around your fucking community. No, I'm just kidding. That ain't what it is. No, shut the fuck up. Today we're gonna be talking about the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, which happened down in New Mexico. On August, well, around not just around New Mexico area, not just around Santa Fe area, but it was basically like a whole movement that pretty much was like, we're gonna do this shit or we're gonna fucking be slaves all our lives and shit, basically, you know. So on August 10th, back in 1680. There was this dude, right? His name was Pope. He was like a spiritual leader and shit down in New Mexico. Currently New Mexico. Back then, it wasn't known as New Mexico and shit. It wasn't even known as fucking Mexico and shit. It was fucking Taos and Laguna and Zuni, Acoma, all these fucking different tribes down there in the Pueblo area, you know. So all these motherfuckers started getting conquered shortly after the Spanish left Mexico and everything, you know, after they conquered Teotihuacan and shit down in Mexico, you know, the capital of Mexico and everything. After they conquered the Aztecs and everything, all that shit, they started moving northward up towards, you know, the areas of currently New Mexico and Arizona and shit. So around the time of 1680 and everything, that's when all the fucking Spaniards came and everything. They pretty much knew that they were in power and shit. They knew that they were like a force to be reckoned with and everything. So they pretty much, well, what I'm understanding and shit, they didn't really like play it being nice at all. They just fucking came in and pretty much just like started like conquering shit, just being like fucking kick-ass raiders and everything, you know. So it was a whole bunch of fuck shit going on back then. Anyway, all this shit happened and the Spaniards started moving through, and then they started conquering all these different areas, you know, back in 1580, 1590, 19 or whatever the fuck. They conquered the Aztec Empire. After that, they moved up to Mexico area. Then they conquered Mexico City in like 1520s, whatever. So it's a whole lot of crazy history and everything. And then around the mid 1500s or so, the Spaniards finally came around to the areas of New Mexico and Arizona and shit. And then, you know, they further expanded their reach, expanded their Catholicism beliefs and shit, and then further pushing out and pretty much banning, getting rid of, pretty much exiling all beliefs of the native cultures and shit, you know, like saying you can't practice your cultures and shit, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do all this shit, you have to follow our fucking gods and our priests and shit, you know, or if not, we're gonna fucking kill your asses, or we're gonna slaughter you, and we're gonna put you on a fucking string and hang you up in front of the town so that other people know what the fuck is going on, so they're gonna fucking convert anyway. So it was a lot of forced conversions and shit, you know, a whole lot of suffering, a whole lot of pillaging, plundering, rapes, murders, all that fucking shit, beatings, and, you know, inevitably fucking slavery and shit. So all this fucking shit was going on, and it lasted for about, I believe, 12 years or 10 years or so. I forgot how long it was. It was a while, man. Because like I said, they got the fucking Spaniards landed. They came up and then they started conquering shit, and they got up to New Mexico and Arizona and shit back in like the 1500s, mid 1500s and shit. So it took about fucking like what, 50 years, almost 100 years or something. I don't know how long, but up until 1680, from mid 1500s to 1680. Basically, yeah, fucking name, dude. That's like over 100 years, basically. Yeah, so they were basically enslaved and then told that you can't do your traditional practices and shit. You know, they said that you can't practice your cultures and everything, and then took them away from whatever they believed in throughout that whole time. And all that time, because our people are so connected and shit. Like the people out here in the Southwest and everything, we're like a water-based people, you know, or we value water and shit, and like fucking plants and everything and stuff. So without water you can't have life, and without plant life you can't fucking sustain and shit. And yeah, there's hunters and stuff too, you know, we go hunting and everything too and shit, but it's like, you know, planting is like what sustains like throughout every year and stuff. And not only that, but it also like to helps to, you know, store shit for the winters and everything, and for the coming years and everything, and those seeds can get planted later on, and then that can carry you on for so much longer and shit. So the Spaniards came in, they basically put a stop to all that shit. They were like, fuck all that, you're gonna come to church, you're gonna worship our fucking gods and shit, and you're gonna fucking get names like Juan and Guadalupe and fucking bullshit like that. So all these people who had a strong history and everything throughout there, they all got assimilated, wiped out, and pretty much told like, you're gonna fucking follow along to the program, or we're gonna fucking feed you to the dogs and maggots and shit. So a whole lot of crazy shit was going on for the people of the area, for my people. It's fucking crazy thinking about it. Now I'm gonna stray away from the notes and shit just real quick, but it's fucking crazy thinking like, if all that shit would have happened, if for some reason like that, like I said, it didn't just happen down there in New Mexico and shit. Like they fucking traveled up towards our area, and they got up to Hopi area. Like, if you don't know, motherfuckers, I'm Hopi, by the way. You should know that by now, because you're here on the SICKJAY page, and if you're here, then you should know pretty much a lot of stuff about me. If you don't know a lot about me, you're gonna fucking find out, baby. Anyway, so yeah, they came all the way up to here and shit, up to the southwest of Arizona and everything. And as well, like that, I'm gonna stray away from a little bit. So as the Spaniards and shit started moving up towards the pueblos and shit, from south to north, people started hearing about the raids and stuff. People knew that these conquerors, these fucking monsters were coming and stuff. So they started fleeing from their villages and stuff, and sending the women and children, whoever, the sickly, the old people, and whoever, the kids or whatever, they started sending them up north and stuff to try to run away and find somewhere that they can hide and stuff. And then, so now that's where we come in with the different tribes over in the couple of mesas over. We'll have to do a whole video about that too, but we don't have to do a whole, fuck that. So, yeah, we had some people, we have a couple mesas over and shit, and it's called Palaka and everything, Walpi, Tewa, or whatever. So, Walpi, Walpuk. So, yeah, so these motherfuckers came from, so these refugees came from New Mexico and everything, who was hearing about the raids and shit going on, and all the raping and plundering and all the murders and shit, all the fucking bullshit that was going on by these fucking Spaniard ass motherfuckers, smelly ass motherfuckers. So they started fleeing from their home communities and shit, and then the men would stay behind, so that way they can like try to fend off the fucking invaders and shit or whatever. So these people, these refugees, started leaving from their home villages and shit, started going up north, and they found refuge on like Hopi and shit. They found refuge on some of our areas and shit, and we brought them in and told them, yeah, we can try to keep you here, but you know, it's only a matter of time before they start working their way up to here, basically, because it's prophesized. Everything is fucking already seen, as I said, everything's already seen, and it's already known, kind of like things are gonna happen and how things are gonna go and shit. That's beyond mine and normal people's fucking understanding of the fucking planet, the galaxy and shit. But it's some really weird shit. Anyway, so yeah, all these guys started fleeing from their homelands and shit. They started like going up northern, and then they eventually came up to our area and shit, the Spaniards and everything. So they came through, they started doing the same shit they've been doing the whole time, you know, enslaving, raping, plundering, converting, and all this shit, telling you you can't have your traditions, you can't use your regular name, you have to get a saint name or some shit. And that shit went on for, you know, generations and everything, for years and shit. So a lot of the people who were around back before the Spaniards and shit came, they pretty much were like living the good life, but then these motherfuckers came, fucked up everything, and pretty much took them away from their cultures and traditions and shit. So that made all the kids, all the generations and shit, not really understand what their culture is, what they are, who they are and shit, you know, who they believe in and stuff. And they hear the stories of like what people used to do a long time ago and stuff, but then at the time they were living in like a dictatorship of fucking Catholicism and shit imposed by the Spaniards and shit. So all this stuff happened and everything. Years and years went by, drought started happening, sicknesses started happening, famines, all this kind of stuff. And then, you know, we're like I said in the beginning of the fucking video, if you've been paying attention, if you've been taking notes, motherfucker, you're gonna get quizzed at the end of this video, goddammit. So make sure you're paying attention, fucker. Yeah, so like I said, we're really connected to like the earth and like the water and like plants and stuff, you know, to like help sustain life and shit. So after we got pulled away from all of our traditions and everything, we started noticing noticing that like that sicknesses, famines, droughts, and all this kind of shit, different kind of things were going on and stuff. And you know, we're not getting rain for fucking generations, years, 10 years, 12 years, wherever the fuck it was. And there was like a kick ass drought and shit. And we were thinking like that, it's because, well, like that, we believe in like sky people and like different kind of entities and stuff like that, you know, native shit and stuff, you know. So yeah, so we started, there was the idea that you know, we're being pulled away from our traditions and shit, and not being able to connect spiritually to these things that we've been communicating with for so long and stuff, and they haven't been gracing us with rains or whatever, and whatever to like help us sustain through life and shit. So the numbers started going down, and people started like dropping left and right from disease and shit, sickness, whatever. So motherfucking, it came to the idea that these people need to get rid of, these people need to get taken care of, and you know, we gotta get these motherfuckers out of here, because if we continue with this way of life, we're not gonna be able to continue for who we are as our own people. And then on top of that, like we're not gonna have fucking anything to help sustain us through these years of droughts and shit, you know, because we have to have like our plants and stuff, we have to have our food and shit. So there's a whole lot of shit that led up to it, not only like the fucking enslavement and all this shit, but it goes down to like a spiritual level of shit. Like they pretty much like muted us and told us that we can't do our shit. So it was a whole lot of animosity, a whole lot of anger and sadness and shit that went into the whole idea of, you know, we have to get rid of these guys. And like that, in the Hopi tribe, in the Hopi tradition and shit, it's supposed to be peaceful people. You know, we're supposed to value life and shit. Basically, like Tibetan monks and shit. That's what it's crazy. I will do a whole video about that, the connections of religions and shit later on. But right now, it's kind of weird because like that, it's so condensed around like that, life, peace, and just the cohabitation of everything, like working in conjunction with each other and shit. And for us, it's something. It's not like I guess not like a common thing to go out and wage war and shit, to go and like be the combatant in the situation. More so like on our end, it's like on more defense side. So we had no choice to fight and shit, but then it's not like we're going out and going and raiding and stuff and shit, and like my tribe anyway. So like that, there's other tribes who go and do that. There's other people and shit. I can't speak for the fucking people down below, down in the southern tribes, you know, New Mexico and shit, because they have their own shit going on. They have their own war society and shit, same as we. But like that, it's not something you should be boasting about, being proud about and shit, you know, in our culture and stuff. So it's kind of like a little taboo kind of thing, you know. So anyway, they decided that they needed to get rid of these guys, and it was a big decision because like that, you're taking life and stuff. But it was more so revenge, and at the same time we have to free ourselves from the grip of these guys, because if we keep going on like this, we're not gonna be ourselves anymore. We're gonna basically, they pretty much knew that they were gonna be Mexicans before Mexicans existed. I'm not talking about like down like for real Mexicans, like Michoacan people, you know. I'm talking about like orales, you know, man, you know, like motherfucking like fucking people who are so fucking lost that they think that Spanish is their regular fucking language. You're supposed to be speaking like Mexican, like I don't know what the fuck they're called, Teotihuacan or some shit, like fucking Aztec or some shit, man. Fucking Spaniards came in, they wiped out your whole fucking language and shit, and then that's what pretty much like the thing is and shit. So the Spaniards came, they fucking wiped out all the language, they wiped out all the teachings and shit of like the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Olmecs, and all those motherfuckers down below, down in Mexico and shit. And then they burned all their history books, they burned all their scrolls and everything that told their history, that told the story of their people and shit. And then the Spaniards came in and they fucking started converting them, and then now all they fucking speak is Spanish. Who knows, like if that, then now they motherfuckers are so proud to be Spanish and shit. I mean, that's cool and everything, but you don't fucking understand that you were native at one point, man. You used to be like, you were a fucking crazy ass motherfucker, man. You were strong, proud people and shit, but then you got taken over and converted, and you just couldn't fucking loosen their grip or something, man. Some fucking shit happened, and then now everybody's converted. Now they think that they're fucking like they're Spanish and shit, you know. And that's cool. I mean, like if that's what you fucking want to label yourself, I don't give a fuck. But you know, it just know that you come from a strong line of people and shit, and it's just a sad thing that you're assimilated and brainwashed into thinking that you're a group of people that you're really not. You know, you got forced into being a group of people. So all in all, that shit happened, and that's pretty much like what we didn't want. Our people, our Taos, our New Mexico people and shit, and our native people up through here and shit. We knew that we had to continue with our way of life, and we had to try to break away from this captivity that we were in and stuff, and like that, slavery and shit. So Yeah, so we did that shit. We fucking did that shit. Well, we didn't do that shit. The old people down a long time ago did that shit. They did that shit for us, and it's fucking crazy. Like seeing, like that's what my dad would always say too. It's crazy seeing like what all these people like went through a long time ago and shit, and like what they fought for and shit, and like now seeing like kids and like people my age or whatever, and people not giving a fuck about their culture, not learning, not trying to learn their language, not trying to keep things going in their community and shit, you know, because they don't teach like we always say. This is stuff that like the learnings that we learn out here, the things that we learn about our way of life out here, is shit that you can only learn out here. You can't fucking go off to school and try to learn this shit. This is stuff that we have to try to like really push and like try to keep going and stuff. And it's fucking crazy, like my dad said and stuff. We'll get into the other stuff about that. Well, it's crazy, like my dad says, that like all these old people and stuff went through fucking hell like to try to keep our culture and religion going and shit, and fucking people just don't give a fuck. They just act like it's nothing. And so I don't know, man. So all that being said, that is basically like the whole thing of like Pueblo Revolt. Like in a nutshell, it's basically like struggle, resentment, and like, you know, like I said, of a native militia. You gotta rise up, you gotta revolt, and then you gotta remit in order to remain. Yeah, it's a whole philosophy that goes into it and shit. There's a whole bunch of stories on the thing, man. There's the marathon. There's so many things that went into it, man. There's the marathon that has to do with the rope and shit. There's stories about our areas out here on Hopi, talking about Owetnovi and Lojaive. There's even to modern day shit, man. Even to fucking Mount Rushmore, the protests going on at Mount Rushmore, because that's a fucking sacred site too, man. That's the Black Hills, and that's like sacred to the Sioux people and shit. That's like fucking the people were like for me, people, you know, people who are Hopi, you know, people who are out here. That's like if motherfuckers were to go to like the San Francisco peaks and start blasting that motherfucker up and start carving like a fucking stupid ass statue of Trump or some shit, you know? That's like super disrespectful and shit. I don't know, man. It's like, just because it's fucking earth, just because it's ground and land, doesn't mean that it doesn't have like spiritual value. It's not alive and shit. And maybe that's because maybe I'm a fucking avatar, so maybe I'm just a fucking alien. But like that, I always think like that. Maybe I'm just a fucking hippie. But no, but yeah, I always think about that. Like everything has life and shit. Everything's connected and everything has a vibe and shit. Everything has vibrations and shit. And like that, that's why they have these diagrams of like the internal magnetics of human beings and stuff, how their feet attract magnetics and different vibrations from the ground, and their insides, their innards, their digestive tract, all this stuff inside, it's all electrically pulsed by your fucking heart and shit, and everything has a weird electrical pulse around it, and it's all sensed by the different things in the world, like the trees and the air and the sun, the cold and everything. I don't know, it's fucking weird. But I'm getting way off topic right now, man. It's fucking cool. But no, anyway, like that, talking about like everything has life and shit, even down to fucking Standing Rock and everything, talking about like the ground and like the spiritual, like the grounds they were tearing up, the burial mounds and shit, and then like putting in oil and stuff and corrupting all the different waters and everything. You know, people in fucking areas now that the pipeline busted and they don't have clean water and shit, and their water's all fucked up, and like fracking and shit. I don't even know what the fuck fracking is, but it sounds pretty bad. And like Flint, Michigan and shit, their fucking water's fucking like flaming as fuck. Like you literally can put a fucking match or something underneath the water of Flint, Michigan, and the fucking shit lights up like a fucking flame, like a candle. Yeah. The marathon, I guess we can touch on some of these things really quick. So like that, the marathon, so like the story was that the Mungwe, the chief guy, the leader guy, Pope, the guy who wanted to do this whole revolt thing, who's the main like mastermind behind the whole thing, he gathered with a group of guys and shit, and pretty much like sent them all off to different areas, and because like that, it was a joint effort. They knew that they were under control by these Spaniards and shit. They knew that they had to break away from them, and it wasn't gonna work. It basically, dude, you ever watch Avatar? If you ever watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's basically the same shit. They were under control by the fucking Fire Nation, which was the Spaniards, and all these different tribes, all these different elements or whatever, all these different people knew that they couldn't release themselves unless they all fucking pretty much helped each other out and all came together to fucking try to get these motherfuckers out of here. So basically like that, this one tribal guy, this one group of people and shit, they had the idea, they were fed up with this shit. I'm pretty sure other people fucking were fed up with it too. I'm pretty sure other people had enough of it too and wanted to do something, but they didn't know how to go about it and stuff. It just took one little push, and then that made everything go into motion and shit. That's what happened. The dude had the idea, then they were wondering how can we connect everybody to all these different tribes, all these different languages and shit, because they didn't all speak the same stuff. All these different people, how can we tell them, how can we get our message out that we're gonna have this plan, that we've had enough of this shit and we're gonna take back what's ours and stuff. You know, we're not gonna fucking be slaves anymore. So the Spaniards, they said they outlawed a lot of stuff. Then the native people weren't allowed to do a whole lot of things because they were under control of the Spaniards and shit, right? So they couldn't have access to horses, they couldn't have access to a whole lot of different things. So they couldn't do meetings and stuff, they couldn't meet up and stuff. So all this stuff was done in secret, and they had to figure out how they were going to conduct all this stuff. So they met up secretly nights after nights after nights, and they finally, the leader guys, the native guys, they finally figured out what they're going to do, and they devised a plan to send runners out to all these different areas, all these different tribes and shit, and then tell them like what's gonna happen. You know, like in 7 days they had a rope and shit, and on that rope they had 7 knots and shit, and telling them like on these days we're gonna, you know, we get ready. On these days, it's gonna be, things are gonna happen. Plan for these days and shit. And then on the 7th day, and then it's gonna happen early in the morning. So they had all this stuff planned out. Everything was ready to go and shit. So they all told them that this is gonna happen. They all converged on this area, and then they fucking attacked and stuff, you know. And then they did their shit. I don't know. I don't really know how else to describe that shit, you know. But just imagine the kick-ass fucking battle and fucking Spaniards losing their shit and heads getting lopped off, and you know, some crazy shit. But yeah, that's I don't know, man. That's like that's not really, I don't really know the whole story about that thing. But like that, there's different stories about how things happen. At what over there's a story about there's a leader guy, and he's upset that all his people were pretty much converted instead of going in with the Catholic way after the Spaniards and priests came in to Hopi and stuff onto one of the mesas, onto one of the villages, and then they started converting and turning everybody who was Hopi into Catholics and shit. And then they started going along with it. The people were happy with it or whatever, or some shit. They were content. They got lazy. They got used to it and stuff. So he noticed it, and things weren't going good in his village and shit. And I think his wife or something, like, either ran away or did something with a fucking priest or some shit, or the priest raped her or had a baby or some shit. Some shit happened. Anyway, different things happened, and then it was finally up to the point that he was fed up with it, and he thought, like, you know, we're gonna have to just get rid of everybody. We're just gonna have to wipe them all out because, you know, they're too far gone. There was his plan that went out to the different tribes out here around to the different villages around my area, and then they told him that they're gonna have they're gonna have a dance. They're gonna do like a ceremony dance or something. They're gonna have like a meeting or something for the village. They're all gonna gather inside. But we have these underground little chamber things. They're like underground. I guess you would call them churches. They're like underground churches and shit. But the chief, the Mungwe guy, the leader of that village, went to different villages and stuff and told them what's gonna happen. He said that we need to purify my village. We need to get rid of these people and stuff because they're too far gone into Catholic mode. They're too far into, they're lost from our religion and stuff. So they started planning what they're gonna do, and when the time came, all the different warriors from the different villages were gathered down below of the mesa, because we live on these big old tall like mountain things. All the different warriors from different villages were gathered at the bottom of the mesa, and when the chief told the people of the village that they're gonna have a ceremony or a dance or something, they all went into the kibbutz, into that underground church. And then once it was time, the guy, the leader of the attack, the leader of the village of the attack, he came out. He went over to the canyon and he gave a signal for the other to the warriors of the other tribes to come up to the village. And after he did that, they all ran up. They pulled up the ladders from the kibbutz, from the underground church. They pulled up the ladders because that's the only entrance and exit into the area. They pulled up the ladders. They lit bundles of dried chilies, threw them in there to like pepper spray. OC, they basically pepper sprayed them and like gas chambered them. Threw burning chilies in there, dried burning chilies in there to, you know, suffocate them and shit to make it hard to breathe. And then if that wasn't enough, and then that wasn't fucking enough, they started fucking shooting arrows into that motherfucker and shit, trying to, like, you know, just eliminate everybody and stuff. So after they got rid of the people of the village, they turned onto the priests and shit, and they went and they killed the guards, the priests, and then, you know, everything, got rid of everything. They tore down the church and shit. And then they started to, I missed the part. There was the ladies and stuff. I think it was only the men or something that they had in the church. But they had to figure out what they were gonna do with the ladies and stuff. So then they started arguing about who's gonna take who and shit. So after a while, they just started deciding, we're just gonna fucking kill them. Nobody can have them. If nobody's gonna be peaceful and make a decision, we're just gonna fucking get rid of them. So they started killing them, and then the ladies started freaking out and like trying to plead for their lives and saying they can do this and they can do that and shit. So then eventually they decided that they're gonna split them up into different parts of the warrior tribes who came to help do a raid on the village to purify the village. So yeah, they started splitting them up and then shipped them off to different villages, and that's that. That's the end of the what of it, as far as I know. Shit. Yeah, pretty crazy history. Then the closest one that's right down the road from pretty much from where I live at, it's a reminder. All these things are reminders and shit of the past and stuff, that these things actually happened, and that our culture is something that we should fight for, that we shouldn't let go of, and conform into the other ways of simple living, of civilization and shit, what people see as successful, I suppose. Just because we live out in the middle of nowhere and shit and like that, it took a while for me to understand, just because we live out in the middle of nowhere and shit, and we don't have a whole lot of amenities that most people do in the cities and shit. And it doesn't make us any less valued of what we have around us and shit. Just because it's nothing but sand and dirt and whatever and open ground doesn't mean that it's nothing. All that area is stuff that's like special and shit, either for farming or for like traditional grounds or planting grounds, hunting grounds, whatever, just tribal, like just clan ground and shit. It's all meant for something. It's not just fucking land and stuff. Like I'm saying with Black Hills and like that, Standing Rock and all these different places and shit. It's all connected. It all has a purpose and shit. There's a fucking reason why there's a big ass ocean between Europe and North America and the Americas and shit. Well, Americas, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't even know what the hell it's called. I don't know. I just started calling it Turtle Island, same as everybody else. But there's a fucking reason there's a big ass ocean between there. There's two worlds. There's two different halves of the world and shit. And if you look back on history and stuff, it goes pretty crazy. Like back when they had kings and all this fucking hypocrisy and all this fucking weird ass shit going on in England and stuff, and all these fucking people acting like they're bishops and fucking kings and rulers and shit, we were fucking doing our stuff over here and we weren't concerned about any of that shit. Yeah, we had people coming through raiding and stuff on us and we had to defend ourselves against them, but we weren't concerned about aristocracy and shit. We weren't concerned about people being in control, being president, being kings and shit. There was specific people who were leaders and stuff who were like that, looked on as like powerful people and stuff, but it wasn't like they were untouchable. It wasn't like they were like an all-knowing fucking god or some shit. They're not a fucking priest or president, some shit. Yeah, so a lot of different shit, man. Like that, the one over here out of SICKJAY, there's a whole lot of stories about that, and it gets pretty fucking cool and shit. And if you do know, on my story almost every year, like I usually post pictures or like slides about like Pueblo Revolt and like that. People usually carve this figure that we call the priest killer and stuff. So let's get into that guy. So over here out of SICKJAY, there's a story that goes that the same thing happened. The fucking Spaniards came through again. The Spaniards came through, and okay. Let me back up. I don't know if this is either before or after, but after all that Pueblo Revolt shit happened down in New Mexico, all that stuff happened, all the fighting for 10 days, 11 days, and then all this and that, after the native people from the area who gathered down in New Mexico and shit kicked out the Spaniards and everything, they disbanded everybody, they killed off like fucking 5,000 of Spaniards, then they like exiled a bunch of like a couple thousand exiled, like ran away and shit. They ran back to Mexico or whatever. So after 12 years, the Spanish army and stuff, the Spanish people finally had enough bishops, finally had enough priests and governmental officials to try to organize a rally to go back up to North America and try to conquer again. So after 12 years, the Spaniards did return, and then unfortunately they did have enough power that they could retake back the force, that they did have enough people and they did have enough force that they could take back all the land that pretty much the native people at the time tried to fight for, all the different areas down there. So currently now if you go down to New Mexico area, Santa Fe, fucking Taos, fucking Santo Domingo and all that shit, they have churches in the middle of their fucking villages. A lot of them have churches in the middle of their villages, and a lot of them do shit with their churches, surprisingly. And then they do have like little dances, little kind of ceremonies and shit, where they have these things people that come dressed in different attire who are supposed to represent Spaniards, who are supposed to represent priests, or like, fair white people, white folk and shit, who are supposed to represent like people from across the fucking ocean and stuff. So yeah, if you go down to like that, the New Mexico areas and stuff, they still have churches and stuff, and they're still very, very involved in like the different saints days and like different feasts and stuff that they have going on. All Saints Day and stuff, the Day Saints and stuff. There's all kind of different things and stuff, and yeah, it's a pretty crazy history how after all that stuff, after 12 years, Pope was an old man and stuff, and then he passed on. I don't know how long after, but he passed away, and then people were living happy, people were comfortable, people got back into their way of life, started getting back into their way of life, and then the Spaniards came back, and then they fucking retook everything. I don't really know exactly how that history went after that. I would love for somebody to fucking tell me what else happened and shit, but yeah, as far as I know, they're mixed in with like Spanish culture and stuff, Catholic culture and stuff. But like that out here, we were fucking fed up with that shit. We weren't gonna fucking have that shit. So our people out here, we were controlled by for the Spaniards. We were controlled by the Spanish for a couple more years, a few years. I know, like I said, I don't know if that was during the set time of the revolt in 1680, or if it was like that, like the 12 years afterwards when they returned and shit. But during that time, the Spaniards came back. Then naturally, this time they came fully onto Hopi territory. They came on, and then they started like establishing churches and started establishing their little villages and stuff, their little towns and shit, and enslaving the people and doing the same fuck shit that they were doing this whole time. So yeah, they came over here to our area. During at the time in Hopi, in Hopi there was a major city. It was basically a city. It was basically a big ass city. Fucking 3-story, 4-story houses and shit. Big old fucking houses, basically big ass condo apartments and stuff. Big old houses, all connected and stuff. It was paradise. It was fucking cool. Like that. They had all their stuff going on. The Spaniards came, they fucking conquered, they started conquering stuff. They took over with a fucking iron fist. And then, after so many years of being slaves and stuff, they had the men going and fucking walking to the San Francisco Peaks, which is now currently in Flagstaff. We call it Nuvatakiobi. So yeah, anyway, they came through, they started fucking enslaving our people and shit again. My Hopi people and stuff, they started coming through and enslaving the people again, and then making them go to walk all the way to Flagstaff, which is about over 200 miles. They made them walk to Flagstaff, cut down big old pine trees, cut down huge ass pine trees, and then drag those motherfuckers back over to Hopi and stuff, and just so they can make their churches and stuff, they cut down those beams and stuff and had them transported back to Hopi 200 miles away, so that way they can use the beams for their churches and shit. And then like that, they had the people laboring for them, collecting rocks and building the church for them out of rocks, because like that, our people are we settled here. Well, this is our place. This is where we're at. We're not nomadic people. We don't roam around. We're set here. We've been here for I don't know how long, for generations and generations and years and shit. I don't know how long. So like that, we're set here. We build our houses to last. We're not nomadic people. We don't build little huts and then take off. So our places are built to last. So we have rock buildings and shit, and that's a lot of fucking work. That's a lot of lifting, a lot of cutting. It's a lot of fucking work. So these fucking priests had the Hopi people and stuff going and being their slaves, building their churches and shit for them, building their housing for them and shit. And if they didn't, I'm pretty sure they just went and pretty much took houses from whoever they wanted to. Like, we're gonna live here now. Fucking get the hell out of here. So yeah, so a whole lot of crazy shows going on. On top of that, all the other fucking shit that people do, fucking filthy ass humans do. All the other atrocities. I don't want to talk about it right now, but all the other shit was going on and stuff. Kids started being born who weren't fully Hopi and stuff, who were mixed breeds and stuff, and all kind of shit started going on within the Catholic interactions and stuff, the Spaniards interactions. And then finally, I forgot who the guy was. I should know. I should know. But fuck, I should know. I know I fucking should know. Anyway, the dude, the Mongwe at Ojaibe at the time, the leader guy at Ojaibe at the time, at the village we're talking about, right? So the guy devised a plan that like that they're gonna fucking revolt again. They're gonna kick some ass and they're gonna take back their way of life. They're not gonna be fucking slaves anymore. So after so many years, after so long, they started planning and shit. They started gathering. The men started gathering in secret and started making plans about what they're gonna do and shit. And then they started thinking about how they're gonna do things. And the way it's told and the way it's often understood is that they had to pick two generals, like basically two of the strongest guys. Not just strongest, but like that. Strong doesn't necessarily have to mean like buildness, you know, like fucking muscle and shit. Strong could mean spiritual, could mean being wise, could mean a number of different things. So they picked the two. They had to pick two of the strongest people in the village of character, of strength, and of wisdom and shit, spirit and whatever, all this stuff. So there was this guy Tevio. And Tevio means antelope. So there was a guy named Tevio. There's another guy called Hania. So they picked them, and then they told him that they're gonna be the leaders and shit. So when the day came, they had another outlook. They had somebody on the outlook who was the caller, who was the signal guy. So in the early morning, I forgot what the date was and shit. In the early morning, the priest came out, either the priest or the guard, I forgot who exactly. I think the guard came out first. The guard came out of the church and started doing like a stretch or morning patrol or something. And as soon as the guard came out, the signal man made an owl sound. Owl is a very powerful thing. It's not just meaning. It's not just a symbol of death or like change or like that devastation. It's more so change and like that. Just be aware, to be wise, of wisdom and shit. But also like that, it was a sign. So they chose an owl sound. They chose the guy to make a sound, and when it was time to do the attack. So when the guard came out, the signal went out. The owl hoot went out. The owl sounds went out, and then the attack started. The guy Tevio, he came and then he attacked the guard, overtook him, took his sword. There was a little fight, you know. It wasn't a complete like, you know, easy fight and shit, but you know, eventually with help and stuff, Tevio took the Spaniard sword, the guard sword, killed him. During all that time, during the struggle of the guard and the warrior Tevio and his helpers, during that time, the other guy Hania, which means badger, which is a type of badger, he climbed up the church and then with a knife he started tearing his way in. Because out here traditionally our houses are made, like I said, they're made of rock. The houses are made of rock, stuccoed with sand, mortared with sand and mud and stuff, and clay, and then it makes the walls and stuff. It makes everything hold together. And our roofs are beams, usually just like that, tree beams or whatever, and it's covered with this material called sagebush. It's a plant, and it's covered with sagebush and stuff. Also for aromatics, and it helps to block out like a lot of moisture, and it helps in a lot of different things. So it's like a filter as well, basically. So you put down, so with all these different branches of bushes on top, and then they cover it with sand, with clay and stuff to lock it in. That way moisture and stuff doesn't get into the houses and shit. Anyway, so while all that struggle was going on at the door, with the gate, with the guard, so all that struggle was going on at the gate at the church with the guard and Zambio and all that shit, the fucking Hania guy and the dude scaled his way up the church wall and fucking dug his way in with a knife and tore apart tore apart the ceiling where the priest how his room was, you know. So he tore his way in, and then, you know, fucking did his shit. He fucking got rid of him, killed the priest, saved the crown and the town and Mr. Krabs, man. And then after that, yeah, after all that shit, they fucking, well, that's, I don't know, that's just the story that I hear, you know. That's from like stories and shit that I've heard and shit. There's different variations of it. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but that's pretty much it, man. After that, they got rid of the guard. They killed the guards or whatever. They got rid of everybody. They killed the priests and shit. They took them somewhere. There's a saying that they went and marched them outside of the village so far, and if you look very far on one of those areas of the rock, you can see like a stream of blackness and shit. But they say that they took them out there and they smashed their heads or they cut them off or something. But then that's where there's that big old like stream of black shit down the rock going down the bottom of it. Anyway, I don't know how true that is, but it's pretty cool to think that really happened. But yeah, so all these motherfuckers, all the fucking Spaniards and shit, they all got either ran out or killed and shit. So we had to fight for freedom and shit, and it's I don't know, like that. It's history and shit. I wouldn't say it's something to be proud of, but like that, it's something to remember. And that's why they say, that's why they didn't completely demolish the church and shit. It's been struck by 3 fucking times, not only while it's been standing there vacant, but also while people have been living in there, while the priests and shit have been living in there. It's been struck by lightning and stuff. So it's clearly not meant to be there and stuff. But like that, it's all meant to be a purpose and shit, and like a reminder and stuff that this shit happened, and like how important it is that we continue with what we're doing in our cultures and shit, and that we're not pulled away and, you know, made to be like just a regular fucking person and shit. I mean, like, I know I used to always say that shit, like I don't want to fucking be a regular person, and I meant like that, like in a way of like of normal society and shit, like, you know, get a job, like fucking go to school, get a job, get a wife, get a fucking family, and that's it. Like, you're fucking done with your life. That's what I didn't want to be. That's what I meant. Like, I don't want to have a normal life. And it took me a little while to think, like, I really don't have a normal life because of who I am as a Hopi person, you know, as a Native American person and shit, because we're so intertwined and we're so connected to our culture and shit that without it, I'm just a fucking person, you know. I don't have any knowledge behind me. I don't have any spiritual connection to anything if I don't have that. So I don't know, people like that always ask me like why don't I move to like this and that, this place and that place and shit. And I think about it, yeah, I always think about it, like it would be cool to like try to further myself and try to like you know, branch out and like do things here and there. And you know, it's not bad to try to get away. It's not bad to get away for at least a couple years or something, you know, get away for a little bit, learn different things, pick up some new ideas, get some new skills and shit, become a fucking better person, you know, grow as a person, you know, because you get stagnant if you stay in the same place for a long fucking time. Your ideas get shrunken and you just don't grow, you know. So it's good to get out and grow and expand as a fucking person and shit. But on top of that, you know, there's no other fucking place that I'd rather be than out here, man, because this is my fucking home, and you know, I have shit that I have to do out here and stuff, you know. I'm very connected with like our culture and shit and what we do, so it's hard for me to like, you know, go on tour sometimes. It's hard for me to, you know, leave and go hang out with people in different states and shit. Not only because fucking money is an issue sometimes, but the thing is like that, we're busy a lot of the fucking year. Pretty much every month of the year we have shit going on that we have to be in attendance for and like help out and do stuff with or whatever in one way or another. So it's a lot of fucking responsibility, it's a lot of obligation, and it's a lot of sacrifice and shit. But you know, like I said, it's a lot of stuff that you have to think about, because like that, people didn't just go through all that shit just for fucking nothing and stuff, you know. So it's something that it took me some time to understand and to really think about like the purpose and like the value of it. But yeah, all that shit being said, that's the history, man. That's pretty much like Pueblo Revolt and shit. And like I said, it doesn't just end with just like native, like in like people around my area. It doesn't just end with like Southwest and like Arizona and New Mexico tribes and stuff who had to go through all this shit, because like we're hearing about fucking Canadians and shit, all these, and well, we'll get into that stuff soon. But like you hear about like all these fucking different tribes along the East Coast, all these different Algonquin and different kind of tribes and shit, like Mohawks and all kind of shit. Yeah, they're still alive, they're still around and shit and whatever, but like that, a lot of them got assimilated, got crossbred, and pretty much they have culture. They might have their culture and shit. I don't know. I would love to meet some of you guys and shit, and you can teach me some stuff. You know, we can hang out and we can chop with some shit, and we can exchange like different information and shit. But you know, as far as I understand, a lot of motherfuckers out in that area don't really have a lot of their knowledge of culture and a lot of their fucking history and shit. And if they do, it's pretty much not consistent, and they're more into modern living and stuff, and that's why it's kind of hard to get across to some people who are more into like the idea of like casinos, and like who are more into powwows and shit. I mean, yeah, I understand powwows and shit might have a little bit of like spiritual connection and like some kind of like meaning behind it, but a lot of the time these motherfuckers are just going out there to fucking try to win contests and get paid and shit, and they don't, yeah, they say it's for healing and stuff, you know, and you know, power to you, man. Like I appreciate that and stuff, but you know, some people don't even give a fuck about that. They're just out there to go dance around, go jump around and try to win some goddamn money and shit. If not that, they're trying to get fucking noticed and trying to get judged or something. But it's, I don't know, man. It's a whole lot of different shit. Again, I would love to know more about whatever the fuck your culture goes on and what the spiritual messages behind it and stuff. I know grass dancing and like that, it's supposed to be like you stomp down the fucking like the grasses for the coming like crops and shit to like, you know, clear the area and stuff and whatever. And jingle dances are supposed to like help heal and be medicine and shit. But like that, I want it like that. I don't know. It's a whole lot of different stuff, and I guess it's just different because like that I'm so connected to like our own culture and stuff that I don't really understand how other people can, well, fuck, dude, okay, let's get into that. And I don't even understand how the fuck other people can be like so proud to be native and shit, but at the same time be so into fucking Catholic shit, Christian shit, and they're going to churches and they're fucking doing all this kind of stuff, and they get married, they baptize their fucking kids and stuff, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Aren't you Apache? Aren't you Hopi? Aren't you Navajo? Aren't you this and that, Ute or whatever? But it's so fucking weird. Like, fucking pick a side, bro. If you're gonna fucking be Catholic, Christian and shit, go do that shit. Renounce your fucking native side and shit. What the fuck? Or if not that, fucking, you know, kill that side and go back in to try to get reconnected and be back into your native side and shit. Like, people fucking went through hell for you to be here and shit. Your ancestors and shit tried to fucking fight to live and survive and shit, and here you are being a dumbass, praising a god who's fucking 2 sides later than an Oreo cookie filling. But I don't know, man. That's just me, man. That's just me. And that goes into the native militia side of things. I already talked about Mount Rushmore, and that was like that. That was a fucking a break on the 1868 Fort Laramie treaty with the Sioux and shit, because they said that we're not gonna touch any of your tribal, your spiritual lands and stuff, you know, your spiritual connections and shit. And then the fucking government goes and turns around and they fucking go and turn around on every fucking promise they make. They break every fucking promise and just like they can profit off of it. So after all that shit happened, they go and fucking blow all the fucking shit off of the Black Hills, and they go and fucking put what the fuck, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Benjamin Franklin's ass up on there and shit. And then everybody goes up there saying, oh my god, it's fucking America. That's some bullshit. The Grand Canyon and stuff, they have all kind of things going on with the Grand Canyon and shit. They have, well, that's a whole other topic. I guess that's like a whole other rant going on, because we're already at like almost an hour, I think. But yeah, Standing Rock. Yeah, we're almost at a fucking hour. And like fucking Standing Rock and shit with all the pipelines and stuff, and like the native burial grounds, and how now the army came and then they took control of that specific little mound, which was, it was documented as a spiritual ground, as a burial ground and shit. And these motherfuckers didn't give a hell. They didn't give a shit. They just went over there, they took control of it, like, this is our place now. And they started like digging up all kind of shit, and they started laying down their pipelines and basically not giving a fuck, and then breaking whatever artifacts they might have found up there, just being super disrespectful and shit. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know if it's just like the Cowboys and Indians type of thing, you know, like they just want to keep being assholes and shit. But I don't know, man. Back in like 2015, 2016, 2014 and shit, and back 2017, back when I really started to get woke on this shit, and then I was like thinking about like all this crazy shit, like how people were, I guess like arrogant white people were getting bold and shit, and trying to like do shit like Trump was doing and stuff, and trying to stand up for their fucking white pride and shit or whatever. So that's when people started doing stupid shit, and I just started getting pissed off, and I started noticing a lot of different things. And then how my boss was talking to me at the time was very condescending, so I would snap back at him like, motherfucker, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. And then like that too, I started noticing like on fucking every year Thanksgiving, they always have Cowboys and Indians, Redskins and Indians, Redskins and Cowboys or some shit, Washington Redskins and Cowboys, the Chiefs and the Cowboys and shit, the Patriots and the Cowboys or something, the Patriots and the Indians or some shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Can you get any more fucking stupid? I don't know what the fuck this fucking say. But yeah, I started noticing that shit, and I was like, I wonder if that's on purpose or if it's just like a fuck around thing. Because every fucking year on Christmas, they always have a fucking Indian team and a fucking Cowboy team or some shit battling against it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? People I guess don't notice it though, because I pointed it out and people were like, oh yeah, huh, no shit. Or like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, you fucking dummy. Like, I don't know, man, and that's why I don't really fucking like sports and like kind of shit that distracts you from things, because like that, there's so much shit going on that's actually happening that people are trying to, that the people in power are trying to distract you from this shit. They're trying to hold a fucking fluffy bear in front of you and try to make you watch it dance while the whole thing is going on behind the barrel, and they're fucking excavating all kind of stuff from the land and fucking poisoning the waters and shit, and you're just concerned with a fucking dancing bear. But yeah, man, it's all propaganda, it's all fucking mind control, it's all fucking bullshit that the political people have to go and it's all fucking control, man. So yeah, all that stuff being said, let me close this motherfucker out, because I think we're about an hour and I have to go to a dinner and stuff to go celebrate Pueblo Revolt Day. You know, we're gonna go eat the hearts of some Spaniards, baby. So yeah, and on top of that, so it wasn't all peaceful. Like I said, it wasn't all peaceful. We were, my people, now I'm focusing on my people and shit, like my Hopi people and shit. So it wasn't all peaceful. We were getting regular raids from like that, the tribes around us, because like I said, we're peaceful people. We're here, we're settled and stuff. We don't go nomadic. We're here in this spot year after year. We always have crops. We always, we at the time we had livestock and stuff. Well, a lot of people had livestock too, but at the time it wasn't like cattle and shit. It was like sheep and chickens and stuff like that. Maybe some horses and shit, maybe here and there, but like that, a lot of crops and stuff with year after year. And motherfucking lazy ass people, lazy ass tribes or whatever, don't know how to plant, or they don't want to plant this stuff, so they see an easy way out and they come through and raid us every year. And they would, and I'm not saying right now, but they would come and raid. Well, fuck, even though, yeah, now they still raid us every year. Motherfuckers go out there and start cutting down green trees and shit, and start cutting down all kind of shit on our fucking land, on our property and shit, on our side of the border and shit. I'm not saying any fucking tribe specifically, but you know who you are, motherfuckers. And like that, they always come through and start chopping down green trees on our side, and we catch them and stuff. And like, bro, where are you from? Do you have a permit on this side? Well, you go cut trees on your side. Why the fuck are you cutting our trees? And they have plenty of trees that they don't want to cut, and they come on our side trying to deplete all our fucking natural resources and shit. And it's like, what the fuck? So they're still coming in and raiding on us. So I don't see what the fucking big deal is with going and having little parties against them and go to try to fight against them and shit. And that's where the native militia came in. So before I get into native militia, so other tribes raiding us. We had other tribes raiding us from different areas and stuff because we're nomadic, and then they would come through, steal our crops, steal our women and children and stuff and shit like that, you know, livestock. Then the Mexicans came through. The fucking Mexicans came through. The Texans or whatever you want to call them. The cowboy hat, the big old cowboy hat with the tall, the Yosemite Sam hat, you know what the fuck I'm saying? The big ass hat with the fucking, you know, legit Mexicans with the little curlies and like the thing, you know, I guess I'll senor. But yeah, like the fucking dudes with the revolvers and shit, you know, Pancho Villa's motherfucking dudes. So yeah, they had the Spaniards coming through and shit, and they started doing raids and stuff and taking people and food and stuff or whatever, doing this and that, trying to settle out here and stuff. So I didn't get into it, but like so far out of the village of Picotzmobile, out of K-Town, there's like these houses, there's like big old houses. I think there's 3 or 2, I think it's 3, but there's these big old houses out there, big old white houses, and that's what the Mexicans built. They came through, they built that shit, and they had like a little fort, or they had like a little house, the housing system or something out there. So the Mexicans came through, they tried to conquer and shit, and then we drove them out too. And then fucking come to the fucking government, the U.S. government, once America was solidified, and then they conquered the Great Plains and everything. America was feeling good about themselves. They were feeling them titties and shit, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna fucking take over what we want, man. So afterwards, this motherfucking dude named Captain R.H. Pratt, motherfucking had the idea, along with some motherfucking white pasty motherfuckers, to go and say, you know, why don't we take these kids and we put them into our schools? The idea behind it was gnats breed into lice, and if you kill the gnats, you can't get lice. And they were saying that we're basically a fucking infestation. We're like a fucking bugs and shit, and they need to get rid of us and exterminate us. If you ever watched Little Big Man, that shit fucked me up when I was in like 5th grade, man. Little Big Man is a crazy story, and talks about the extermination of Native Americans and shit throughout the South, throughout the Plains Indians areas and shit, and basically how all these different like militias, American militias, government militias, were basically paid to go out and fucking like kill tribes and shit to eradicate them from their lands and shit. So yeah, so all this shit has started happening, and after they started killing them off, and they thought, okay, I think we killed enough, And then this motherfucking dude named H.R. Pratt, he's a captain in the army. He had the idea of, let's send them to school. So his motto, he's famous for this motto, kill the Indian, save the man. And what his thing is, he would take these kids, he would forcibly round up, he would forcibly go to different tribes, different communities, take their kids and then send them off, ship them off to boarding school and shit. And if anybody resisted, anybody fought back, they would either be killed or put in prison. And that's what happened out here. Around that time, I'm not really sure how the timeline goes. I'm kind of jumping around right now. But around the time the army came out, from what I understand from my grandma's stories, my great grandma's stories, the army came out, they started taking people, started taking kids. Dads were trying to fight back and they were getting beat up and shit. Some of them were getting imprisoned and stuff. And then after so long, they started saying that the government came out and they said, okay, we're gonna take your kids, and if you're not gonna comply with it, we're gonna send you to prison. So the leaders at the village of SICKJAY again, they said that they don't want to have their kids go. They're not gonna let them go. They're gonna fight for their kids. So the government, the army said, okay, you're coming with us. So they chained them all up and they imprisoned all the leaders, all the head guys and stuff, and then they marched them to California, to Alcatraz, where they stayed for 7 years, I believe. And then after 7 years, the leaders, the men who were sent away, they found out that some of their families were no longer alive. Some of them were taken. Some of them were impregnated, and they didn't want to deal with it anymore, so they killed themselves. And yeah, so it was a whole lot of shit that went on. Well, they were fighting for their kids to stay out on their native lands and learn their traditions and shit, and not be assimilated. So that's the whole boarding school situation. And that's when my grandma and a few other people got taken away. And at the time, my grandma was just a little baby and shit. She was just a little girl and shit. She don't know what the hell was going on. She just knew that she just thought they were going for like a ride or something, going for a trip or something. But some of the other kids, she would tell us stories about it, how some of the other kids, they were crying, little older ones, they were crying and they were scared and all this and that. And my grandma was just a little girl. She didn't know what the hell was going on. So she didn't know anything. And yeah, she just thought they were going on an adventure or something, not even knowing she was getting sent away from her family for so many years and shit. Anyway, she went away, she came back, she had a brand new name, she got to pick her own name. I don't know what her name was before, but I guess when she was at boarding school, she really liked the name, and then she ended up changing her name while she was at boarding school. So she came back with a brand new name, she came back with a new I guess mindset, a new westernized mindset and shit or whatever. So all this and that happened, yeah, and then that kind of brings us into a little bit more modern times. And modern times is like still holding on to traditions. Well, not modern times, I guess back in like the 60s and shit. But like that, holding on to traditions, holding on to our beliefs and stuff, and like the prophecies of what's gonna happen if things are allowed to happen the way they're moving and shit. So it was always said that we don't want to have electricity, we don't want to have running water, we don't want to have the modern amenities of the Western world and shit, because it would make us lazy, it would make us pull away from our cultures, it would make us less connected basically and shit. So there was this whole faction that goes on between the people who wanted to be more traditional and then the people who wanted like change, who wanted to be more progressive and shit. So there was a whole factor between that, and that split everybody in half even more, because at the time at SICKJAY, and again at SICKJAY, everything happens at SICKJAY. Pretty much a lot of shit happened. That's a major place. So at the time, there was this proposition that the native people of SICKJAY can go along with the government's plans and get water, get electricity, get all the amenities to make life easier and enter the civilized world and shit. And then there was this group of people who were like, we fought this long and we fought this hard to keep our way of life, and if we give into it now, what did those people die for and shit? So they basically said, we're not going to go along with that shit. And then they said, we're going to go and do our own thing. So there was this whole battle, there was this whole fight that happened and shit. And they basically the people who wanted to be more traditional, who wanted to keep the traditional way of life going, they said, you know what, fuck this. You can have They were like, fuck this. If you want to live happy and simple and like the easy life and shit, you can have it. We're gonna go and we're gonna do our own shit and we're gonna keep our way of life going. So they left. So that was called the hostile group. That one was called the hostile group because in the government's eyes, you're either civilized or you're hostile. And that's what the native people were. A lot of them were hostile. If they weren't going in and they weren't conforming with the government's plans and shit, trying to be assimilated and shit. They were hostile natives. They were hostile Indians and shit. So like that was just the title that was given, the hostiles. So they left the village of SICKJAY, and then after that, they went up to find their own area. They lived there for a while. They established life in their spot. And then the government came around again. The fucking government, that goddamn government, man. Uncle Sam is that motherfucker. So the government came around again and then offered them another way. They were really persistent. They were like, okay, you said no to our last offer, but how about this offer? We'll build you a school. You don't have to go away. You don't have to get shipped off to somewhere else far away to go to school. We'll build you a school on your land, and you can have electricity and water and all these nice things if you just come along and you do things our way. So there was this whole little faction that went on at Hope Villa. And okay. So after the hostiles left, they found this village called Hope Villa, right? So after all that stuff was settled there, they got living in. The government came, they fucked everything up again. They started enticing them with all this other bullshit, and then the people started thinking, you know, maybe we should give our kids a better life and stuff. Maybe we should try to get them an advantage into this white man's world, you know, because things are changing and you know, if we're gonna survive, we have to try to live into this white man's world and shit, you know, or get wiped out and stuff. So understandably, people were scared. People started thinking maybe it was the better way out. So at Hope Villa, they started having this little friction going on. The people wanting to keep things traditional again, and people wanting to go into like the modern way of life and be modernized, be civilized and shit. So there was this whole faction, there was this whole breaking apart and everything. So that one village, that group of people that split from SICKJAY, who founded their own village, there was inner turmoil in there again, and they split apart once more, and then that's how the village of Bakumu was made. And that's where, so now they have a church, and Hope Villa has a church too, but you know, Bakumu was pretty much founded around the thought of, you know, we're gonna be white, we're gonna be westernized, we're gonna be civilized. So they built a church, they built a school down in the canyon, they built water lines, they built the sewer, they built power lines and all this kind of shit. It's just been, and that's how it's been. And I don't know, man, it's fucking crazy now thinking about it, because like that, even now, generations, years, however fucking decades long and shit, you still see that. You see the difference of how traditional way of life kind of still really has a strong hold and a really good foundation and molding power of the kids and the individuals of that area, and how the more modernized areas, the more modernized villages and shit, and how they're a little bit more loose with their beliefs and a little bit loose with their culture and stuff. They still hold on to their culture, they're still doing it and stuff, but they don't have it's not as strong. They don't have the same magic, the same medicine and stuff as it does on the traditional side, because like that, they basically renounced what they're gonna do with themselves, and then they basically gave over to the western side of things. And eventually they started missing the way of life that they used to live, and they started bringing back the modernist people missed their traditional way of life, and they started bringing back their old cultures and stuff and trying to resurrect the things that they left behind and shit. And that's just how it's I notice it now. Different villages have different outlooks on things and how they do things and like that. There's more traditional places than others and shit, but that's just like past stuff. That's things that happened in the past and shit. And it's crazy how like it ripples throughout like time and stuff, and how things change and shit. But yeah, man, all that stuff happening. It's still a fucking struggle and stuff. Talking about, you know, natives still get like, you know, treated like second-class citizens and shit, and pushed to the side, and you know, made to feel like maybe less than their other ethnic counterparts or whatever and shit. And like that, how they say like Native Americans make up less than 1% of the population, and how that number is quickly declining because of inadequate laws and different loopholes and different kind of shit that happen within other communities. The missing, murdered indigenous women and shit, indigenous people, not just women but people, fucking so many Native people go missing like every fucking year, every fucking day and shit or whatever and stuff. And it might not be from outside people. It might not be from, you know, people of other races and shit. It might be from people of their own race and stuff, of their own fucking tribe, of their own friends, of their own fucking family and shit. And that's fucking crazy too. That sucks because that comes from I guess like that envy, greed, jealousy. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the hell it is. But yeah. Just different things happening like that. The missing and murdered indigenous women and stuff. Yeah, we can say that it's not all done by like that Caucasians and shit, but like that. Up in Canada, there's this fucking big thing going on and like that, trafficking and stuff. But like that, we'll get into that later. But like that, there's this big thing in Canada going on. I've heard multiple reports about it and multiple people saying that the police are actually fucking more dangerous than anybody else out there with Native people because the police have been the ones to actually beat up people, leave them out in the fucking snow, and then like let them fucking freeze or whatever. Get rid of people, get rid of evidence in lakes and stuff. There's a story that I heard from one of this Native group. The sister of a brother who was in the hospital was going to Facebook trying to say that her brother was beat up by Rapid City police and everything, and saying that the brother was pleading for his life or whatever and like wanting to get help and shit, and the police were telling him to shut the fuck up or we'll throw you in the river or we'll toss you in the river or something, we'll leave you in the river and shit. So like that. And there's multiple people that have been found in rivers and lakes and stuff up in Canada and stuff, in gullies in the side of the road and ditches and shit or whatever and whatever else. But like that, it's a lot of shit going on from a hatred standpoint, from a power standpoint or whatever. I don't know, man. Like I said, back in like 2016, 15, 17 and shit, I was going through like this whole transition and everything of like I guess just hostility and shit, of anger and like anxiety and like later on learning that it was historical trauma and shit, knowing all these things happened to our people and stuff and like slaughter and shit. Like I don't know, there's like horrible fucking stories about what like the conquistadors, what the fucking cavalry people did to tribal people, to plains people, to anybody they came in contact with. Yeah, all that shit just warped my mind and got me thinking like that, like fuck, it's not all happy Indians around here, man. It's not all 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians and shit. And that fucking song comes from fucking people shooting down fucking warriors and shit like that. It's like if you see the Bugs Bunny one, that fucking he's shooting at the fucking dudes, so he's counting them off as he fucking shoots them. So yeah, it's fucking all brain shit. It's all political shit, power shit. I don't know, man. Spiritual shit as well, because like that, they try to fuck up like the spirits of people, and I can't lie, it did fuck me up a lot. It got me in a spot of like I said, a lot of anger and like anxiety and like that trauma, and like it took me a while to understand why the fuck I'm feeling like that and why I feel so strongly about it and why I want to change something. And I don't know, man, it might just be me. That's just me, because like that, I had this weird ass thinking like that, like we're incarnated people and stuff. Like we lived before and stuff. We're not brand new fucking souls here. We're recycled people and stuff, and just brand new shells and shit. We're just energy that gets put into a new shell. And some things, like they say in The Shining, burnt toast has a smell, burnt popcorn has a smell, and even if it's long gone from the room, it still lingers on. If a soul has seen a lot of fucking damage, a lot of fucking trauma, a lot of death, and a lot of destruction and shit, it's gonna probably be stained with that feeling for a while. So I don't know. I started thinking maybe that's what's going on with me. Maybe all this shit that's happened, like in the past, like past decade or whatever, it maybe like awoke something or something. Maybe it like sparked something that made me remember, made me like think like gotta change something or some shit. So, but like that, I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I've always been like the person that want to be like a hero and shit, want to be like somebody who like stands up for people who can't fight for themselves or something. I don't fucking know, man. I just want to be like a fucking hero, man, like Hercules or like fucking the dude from Black Culture and shit. But like that, why can't we fucking fight for what we want? Why can't we fucking... Yeah, violence isn't good, but sometimes violence is fucking necessary. Sometimes war is the answer. So why the fuck can't we push for what we want in a way that will get results? Same with Malcolm X did. That's why I really side with like the Black Panther side of things and Malcolm X side of things, because Martin Luther King was cool and shit. He did things peacefully. He tried to talk things and tried to be educated about things, but yeah, he marched and shit, but what did he really do? Along with the Black Panther Party, if you go along with Malcolm X, he was talking about, we're not gonna take this shit anymore. We gotta take back our way of life by force. We gotta take back our peace by force. We gotta let our children know that we're not gonna be treated like second-class citizens. We're not gonna be treated like we're less than human and shit, you know? So we deserve every right that everybody else has and shit. So why the fuck can't we fight back for the things that we want right now? And yeah, it's a radical idea and shit, but sometimes we need to be radical and shit like that. That's why I like that Malcolm X and the Black Panther Party. Back in the 60s, there was this group called AIM, the Native American, the American Indian Movement. And what these motherfuckers did, they had the same idea. Same with the Black Panther Party back in the 60s. There was revolutionary shit going on back then, man. People weren't afraid. And that's what I was seeing recently within like that, the Standing Rock times. And like that time. Standing Rock, I don't know when exactly that was happening, 2017, 2016 and shit. But yeah, that was fucking cool. Seeing people get fed up with the shit and like that, saying we're not gonna take this anymore. Like we're standing up and we're gonna fight back. Yeah, the fucking protesters got pepper sprayed and got dogs and like got blown up and shit by the fucking like the where the fuck was that? The army, the fucking military people who got brought in and shit or whatever. That was fucking bullshit. But like that, it's a win. It's a lose situation, I guess, because like that, it's superior firepower, superior armor and shit. Yeah, we could try to arm ourselves as much as we can, and we can try to like train and get well maintained, be organized as much as we can, but can we really go up against a fucking group of people who are supplied by the fucking government, who have a very clear history of oppressing people and being able to do what they want with a fucking iron fist as long as they have force? So yeah, man, on top of that, they don't fight fair. They have fucking heat rays, they have different kind of things that they can use to I don't know, man. The fucking warfare idea and things are crazy now, man. It's not just regular fucking guns and shit. It's not just like, dude, like that. It's not just sticks and stones and then like that, guns and bombs and shit. Now we're fucking going into drones and all kind of crazy stuff. But like that, I don't know, man. Like that, all this shit, all that stuff, all these different kind of things, that all accumulated in 2017, 2018, 2015, 16. It all built up to, you know, get my mind going, get me thinking about what can we do? What can we do as a people? What can I do, I guess, as like a able-bodied person, you know, somebody who can think, somebody who can move and stuff, and who's I guess fucking angry enough to do some stupid shit. But like that, I don't know, man, that's where Native Militia came in. That's where the Native Militia idea came up with. Cause like that, my uncles and stuff, when they went to the army and shit, they went to the militaries and shit, they would like do little exercises with us. They would have us do push-ups and shit. They would take us on hikes and like kind of like learn how to do like navigational shit. I had this other, I think he was my uncle or something, my cousin or uncle, but he would take us on like little, like he would call them missions, and he would like act like we were like going on like recon or something, like pretending that we'd be setting up tripwires and like trying to watch out for enemy patrols or whatever, and like learning how to like navigate behind things and how to like move behind cover and shit, and just like how to move and stuff and like that. We've been trained we even know how to use guns since we're like little kids and shit. I stumbled upon this group called Savage Fam. They're up in Seattle area, I believe. They're really militant. They're really about their shit. They have like videos of like they're training little kids, training their nephews and nieces and stuff, like on how to move and how to like gun safety and shit, like gun disassembly and firearm disassembly and shit, and maneuvering and stuff. And that's fucking cool. It's scary thinking about yeah, some people it might be scary thinking about like that's what is coming, like that's what people are coming to and stuff, but like that, the world's turning into a fucked up place. Trafficking, fucking, we've been seeing a lot of different out-of-state plates coming through that really haven't been coming through a lot of Texas and California. You know, it's kind of obvious. It's kind of like, Texas and California, you're really close to the border there, buddy. I wonder what the fuck else is coming through. So, you know, it's kind of like thinking like there's some shit going on and stuff. And obviously there's drugs out here. Obviously people are getting it from somewhere else. There's people who can make it and stuff, but if they're not making it, they're getting it from somebody. And if they didn't make it, they're learning to make it from somebody. And they learned to make it from somebody. So there's a lot of shit going on and stuff. So that's where the Native Militia idea came in. After training and different kind of things and learning that fucking we've been pretty much bred to, I've been pretty much bred to have this idea since I was a little kid. It was just all accumulating up until I gave it a name and gave it a purpose and shit. So after 2017, I moved back at home. I started training a lot more. I started getting more into navigation, and I don't think I have a ride back then, but I wanted to start going out into like the wood areas, out onto the borders of our land and stuff, and try to like catch illegal woodcutters, illegal hunters and shit, and like that, some vigilante shit. I've always been in that mind state, like that, Batman, like that. The law can work at some points and stuff, but sometimes you just gotta take shit into your own hands, and like that, you need to make the change yourself and shit. And I understand it's against the law and stuff, but you know, fuck. Sometimes you just gotta handle it yourself. Sometimes you just gotta handle things yourself and shit. But I don't know, man. And that's where all that shit came in. Native militia training and stuff. Learning how to connect things, learning how to make things and shit. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, man. Like I said, I've always wanted to be like a hero. I've always wanted to be like somebody who could help. Not in a police sense of way. Not like a, I don't know, not like a, I guess like a firefighter or something. Somebody who's just there to help and shit, but more so like I don't know, like a fucking soldier, I guess, like a fucking warrior or something, you know? But like that, that's I'm really into like that, being sharp. You have to watch your surroundings, being situational awareness, having situational awareness, exercising, just like that, just trying to keep yourself maintained and like that. A body in motion stays in motion and shit, you know? Don't let yourself get lazy, don't let yourself get tired and shit. Don't let yourself get comfortable with the way of life of the modern world and shit, you know? Because like that, if I just said before, as Native people and shit, we have a fucking lot of responsibility and a lot of things that we gotta try to uphold and keep going and shit. So I don't know, man. I'm a very complicated person if you think about it, but like that, Native militia and shit came from all that stuff. It's a combination of like just being fed up with everything else and just saying like I'm fucking. It's a mind state. Native militia is a mind state as well, like that. If you're in Flagstaff, if you're in Winslow, if you're any fucking where that's predominantly not your skin tone, and people start giving you shit, that's where that shit comes in. You know, like man, fuck this shit. Like not get fed up. Don't get fed up and then like throw a fit and stuff and then just like walk out. Fucking stand your ground and be like, motherfucker, you're gonna service me one way or another, man. Like I'm not gonna fucking take your shit. Like if you got a fucking problem, say something, man. Like what the fuck, you treating me like a second class citizen and shit just because of the color of my skin or something? I don't know, man. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just too fucking worked up about it. Because I've noticed I've done that before, and maybe it wasn't even the situation that it might have been. But you know, I don't know, man. That's where the historical trauma comes in again, you know, just always being on edge, always being on guard and shit, and like, I don't know. I don't want to be like that all the time, you know, because like that, not everybody's a bad person and shit. Not everybody deserves your rage and shit, but you know, it's, I don't know, it's just trauma and shit. It's something, it's like that. It's the same fucking shit. It's historical trauma. It's stuff that's like from generations and generations ago that just probably won't ever heal. But like that, you're trying to be cool with everybody and stuff like that. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm fucking complicated at times because like that. I want to be a good person. I want to treat people with respect and doing all this stuff and like that, you know. But like that, it's up to a certain point because not everybody deserves fucking respect if they're gonna be a fucking prick. So I don't know, man. I got all worked up that last couple seconds. Shit. Alright, man. So this has been Killin Time with SICKJAY. The topic of today was Pueblo Revolt and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, dude, it's fucking hot in here. I turned on my fan, I closed the window and stuff, and yeah, I have these lights on and shit. It's getting pretty warm. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a great August. It's August. We're going into fall. It's gonna start getting Halloween soon, man. My birthday's in fucking November. I'm excited for Halloween though, shoot. On the spot, yeah. Have a good time, man. SICKJAY. Check out the new album coming out. We got a new album coming out in October. I don't have a title for it yet, but we have 6 songs right now. We might have 7 or 8. I don't know. We'll let you know. But then again, go on the YouTube machine. Go type in SICKJAY or SICKJAY on YouTube. Type in SICKJAY in Google, bro. You'll find me everywhere. You'll find everything you want to see on me on Google, bro. Type in SICKJAY. You'll find everything. Yeah, man. I appreciate the time. If you guys stuck out through the whole video, I'm glad you guys stuck around and you got a little history lesson and a little bit insight about me and the way my inner workings and the way my Mikoto works, you know. But yeah, it's just a bunch of different shit going on, and it's just like it's all these different things that make me, you know? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a lot of stupid shit. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you guys have a good month, having a good year so far and shit. I'll see you guys later, man. Peace.